ladies, welcome back to Lily White Lane. Hope you're all doing well, hope you're all doing okay. And Tottenham Hotspur have just defeated Crystal Palace by 4-1 in what was a very, very impressive performance. And 4 goals and a massive goal difference gain and a massive 3 points that Tottenham Hotspur did deserve. As I say, Liverpool dropped points, Everton and Chelsea yet to play. As I say, one of those big teams are going to drop points. It was a real opportunity, just like the Fulham game, as I say, to gain points. And, you know, a lot of big teams dropping points as well who are in contention for that top 4 race. And it was absolutely phenomenal what I saw out there. As I say, you know, started off the first half absolutely brilliant. If you ask me, we capitulated at the end of it from some bad defending. We came out in that second half and the reaction I saw from those players was something else. Absolutely phenomenal. So we'll get to some of the talking points right now of the game and then we'll move on to my player ratings. So, as I say, we'll start things off 20 minutes in. Gareth Bale gets a goal. It was a tap-in, to be fair, but I put this goal down to the one, the only, my new favourite Tottenham Hotspur player, Lucas Mora. Absolutely brilliant pressing from Lucas Mora. As I say, the Palace defence were passing it around. He did not let off. Neither did Sonny. But, you know, this goal for me goes down to Lucas Mora. Would not let off. Kept on running and running and running and running. I was so pleased to see him put in a good performance. Because, you know, he's definitely up there for one of my favourite Spurs players right now because his work ethic is absolutely fantastic. As I say, anyway, he pressed the Palace defence there, was absolutely brilliant. Gets the ball, Harry Kane whips it into the box. Gareth Bale taps it in, 1-0 up, and yet another goal for Gareth Bale. One of the 2 goals he'd actually gone to score tonight in a very, very impressive performance from him. And, you know, I'll go on to Bale's performance more in the player ratings, but, you know, a lot of people I saw on Twitter saying he's a tapping merchant, all of this, all of that. The guy's whipping in crosses and brilliant performances every single week, day in, day out. You know, some of the balls he was actually playing for Tottenham tonight, he makes them look easy, just like Harry Kane. He makes them look casual and easy when they're really not. So Bale's performance was brilliant, as I say. But, you know, this first goal, very, very clean, really nice goal from Tottenham. And from there, we seemed to just really slow down. We capitulated and we went very, very defensive, which really frustrated me because, right, we've seen a whole week of Tottenham attacking and being attacking-minded. You know, Wolfsburger, that 4-0, even the 4-1 as well. Even the West Ham game, you could count it, you know. Burnley 4-0, very attacking, pressing high. And we just seemed to let off that press. We just seemed to sit back and just look like we were going to take that 1-0. And Palace punished us. Obviously, we were lucky that Fulham didn't punish us midweek. Well, they did, but it was disallowed by that handball. Make what you will about that. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion when it does come to that. I think they should have scored. And, you know, we could be sitting here right now talking about a 1-0 draw midweek against Fulham or a 2-1 loss. So, as I say, you know, I think the way they capitalised at the end of that first half, it was really bad defending. I mean, there's no 2 ways about it. Palace were awful. I'll be 100% honest, in the first half, they were not a good side whatsoever. They sat back early on. You know, granted, they put in a decent performance to start things off. But from there, they're not one of those teams that you go, all right, they deserve to go because they put in a good performance. No, their performance was awful in that first half. And we let them break through us, as I say. And, you know, the goal that we actually conceded before half-time was a real embarrassing one. As I say, Doherty, nowhere to be found. Easy ball to cross into the middle of the box, as I say. No one marking him. Benteke, you know, some people saying it was Sanchez, some saying it was Toby. I think it was Toby. Sanchez was marking his own man. Sanchez, for me, did a good job in this game, as per usual. But, as I say, that makes it 1-1. I think I speak for every Tottenham fan when I say, oh, no, here we go again. Here we go. Same old Tottenham, Spursy Tottenham. But the reaction in that second half was like nothing else I've seen this season. As I say, you know, came out in the second half, and I came out in that second half. I have to be 100% honest. I was thinking, you know, this one might be a draw. It honestly might be a draw. Palace are just going to go defensive. But the way we capitalised, some of the shots we were having, the high press once again, was phenomenal. Absolutely brilliant from Spurs. As I say, you know, we scored straight away in the I nearly said the first half, as I say, but we scored straight away in the second half once again. Gareth Bale, it was Harry Kane whipping in another ball. 2 assists for Kane as well, and 2 goals. Oh, 1 assist actually, come to think of it. But the guy was actually, no, 2 assists. 2 assists for Kane and 2 goals. The guy had an absolute stormer today. He bossed that game, as I say. You know, Hugo Boss FC. And I think, you know, that goal once again was Harry Kane. Bale as well, so positionally aware, as I say, whipping in crosses left, right and centre at the beginning of that second half as well. But Kane, lovely ball in. Bale jumps up, jumps onto his man, heads it straight into the back of the net, over the keeper, over Guaita, and puts us 2-1 up. And I was like, thank God for that, because I thought, you know, they're going to go defensive. It's going to be very, very hard to break them down. But it goes to show this is a group of attacking players. And from someone who always stuck up for Jose, I have to give him criticism for some of the losses we've had in the past. Because you can clearly see when we attack, we are so much better of a side. You know, you've got a group of attacking players. You need to play expansive football. And I'll give credit where credit's due to Jose once again. You know, I am Jose and I've always been Jose and always believed he can do it. And, you know, he's proved all of those Jose outs now. These are 3 Premier League wins in a row, 4 wins in a row actually. And, you know, really, really impressive performances. 4 impressive performances in 4 very, very, very tough games, honestly. You know, you have to look at these games as these games are teams who are down at the bottom of the table. Palace may be questionable, but the likes of Fulham and Burnley, both of them teams fighting for their lives. Yet we dominated them. We dominated this game against Palace, as I say. And what a goal it was by Bale. Really, really good header. And that moves us on to, speaking of a good goal, Harry Kane with an absolute bullet. Oh my gosh, that was absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely belts it into the top left-hand corner, puts us 3-1 up, and from there it was game over. As I say, you know, game said and done. Maybe at 3-1 they could have called their way back into it, but for me, it was game said and done, as I say. Really, really clinical finish by Harry Kane from outside the box as well. That was a thing of beauty, as I say. But, you know, phenomenal from Harry Kane in this game, and that moves us on to the final goal. Once again, Harry Kane, Heung-min Son with the assist as well. I thought Sonny deserved the goal because he put in a very, very impressive performance. But as I say, he got himself an assist, moving up his stats once again for the season. Probably one of his best seasons ever at Tottenham Hotspur, as I say. But, you know, really nice ball into the middle of the box. Kane kind of heads it down onto his knee and gets it into the back of the net. It doesn't matter how it goes in. As long as it goes in, it's all right. And as I say, it goes in, puts us 4-1 up, and that is game over. 90 minutes, we just sat back then defensively. Bale was dominant as well. Thou shall not pass, Gandalf FC. And we went on to win the game, as I say. Now, let's move on to some of the player ratings. So we'll start things off right now with Hugo Lloris. Honestly, didn't have much to do in my opinion. So I'd have to give him I'll give Hugo a 7. I don't think, you know, he had much to do. He made one decent save, as I say. And, you know, for me, he just didn't really have to make that many saves. Palace weren't really clinical. They weren't the greatest side in this game, although we dominated them. Let's be honest here, they simply weren't good enough. So, Hugo for me gets a 7 in this game. Moving on to the left-back position, Reguilon for me gets an 8. The guy was chasing down every single ball, as I say, constantly chasing it down like a dog man on a leash. The guy was crazy, as I say. And you got to admire his work ethic, just like the likes of Lamella and Lucas Mora. You have to admire these players' work ethics. Although sometimes they can come on and run around like a headless chicken, a lot of the time they put in fantastic performances, and this once again was a brilliant performance from Reguilon. And he does that same thing, this same movement, which I really did manage to identify in this game, where he's bombing down the wing and he confuses the wingers and the you know, the left backs for Palace, as I say, and trying to, you know, it looks like he's going to cut inside and have a shot, yet he lays it off, and it's such a clever move from Reguilon. So for me, he deserves an 8 in this game. Moving on to our 2 centre-backs, Toby Alderweireld, I've given him a 7, and Sanchez a 7 as well. Both of these guys, for me, weren't as good as they have been in the past, but no real mistakes, as I say. Toby made his 1 mistake, so maybe it's a bit generous giving him, you know, that rating, giving him a 7. But for me, Sanchez, once again, the better of the 2. So, in my opinion, right, if Sanchez continues playing like this, we need to keep him in the summer and play him next season, as I say. And maybe we only need to invest in 1 centre-half. So we'll have to see what happens in this summer transfer window. But if Sanchez can save us a good budget for being a better player, that'll be fantastic. And it's very like Michael Dawson and Ledley King, you know, comparing Toby Alderweireld to Ledley and Dawson to Sanchez. In that Dawson's a good player, right? But he's not as good when he plays next to other people. But when you put him next to Ledley, he's phenomenal. Just like when you put Sanchez next to Toby, he's phenomenal. And as I say, Dyer missing out on loads and loads of games. 4 games in a row now Eric Dyer has missed out on. So is that a positive sign for the future? Does that mean Jose's kind of fell out of love with Eric Dyer and he won't play him that much? I don't believe so. I think he's trying to wake him up. So we'll see what Eric Dyer's reaction is. It could be, you know, that he comes back into the squad with hunger and puts in brilliant performances, or it could be that he comes back into the squad and simply isn't good enough. Nevertheless, I digress. Moving on to the right back position, I was very, very disappointed to see that it would be Doherty starting when I did see the starting lineup. But to be fair to Doherty, he didn't put in as bad of a performance. But that one individual mistake once again costing us a goal. And on another day against a different Palace side, we would have drew that game. So as I say, Doherty for me, I'm going to give him a 5. I'm going to give Doherty a 5 for me. Way too slow, wasn't the greatest, but didn't make any real bad mistakes, as I say. That's an improvement for a player such as Doherty. You know, one step at a time. You know, baby steps for Doherty. But I digress, as I say. Moving on to the midfield area. Højbjerg, for me, general. Absolutely dominated that midfield area. Palace were not passing in this game, as I say. Brilliant in midfield. Absolutely fantastic. Phenomenal from Højbjerg. I can't sing his praises enough, as I say. He's had a few weeks where he slowed down. Hasn't been that good. But for me in this game, he gets a 9. The guy was phenomenal, as I say. Moving on as well. Once again to our next midfielder, Harry Winks. For me, one of our weakest players on the pitch. Although he did get substituted on in the 60th minute. For me, he gets a 5. Didn't do much. Gave away possession a couple times. 5 for me. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of Harry Winks, as many know. So Harry Winks gets a 5 for me. And that moves me up to my man of the match. A lot of people saying, what? No, Kane, he scored 2. No, Bale, he scored 2. No, my man of the match, Lucas Mora. Darting forward. Absolutely brilliant from Lucas Mora. The press, as I say in this game, from a tactical point of view, the guy just went for 90 minutes like a train. 90 minutes of pure passion for the club. Pressing and going for that ball. And that's exactly what you want to see. So, as I say, Lucas Moura gets a 10 for me. I rarely give 10s, but 10 for Lucas Moura. Phenomenal in this game. And that moves us on to what we had up top for me. Starting off with Son, I'd have to give him a 7. Not Sonny's strongest performance, but as I say, he did get himself another assist. He's assisting a lot of goals now as well, so he's climbing up that table. You imagine, right, if we end this season and the 2 top players with the most assists are Son and Kane. You imagine if they have the same assists and they have to share the I'm trying to think what they use for assists, because obviously you get the golden boot for scoring, for being the highest scorer in the Prem. You get the golden glove. I don't have a clue what you get in for assists. Maybe the golden pass. I haven't got a clue. But as I say, Sonny getting a lot of assists this season, climbing his way up that table. As I say, he's becoming like the new Harry Kane. Harry Kane being a little more selfish now. So I like to see. I like what I'm seeing with Son. Hopefully he does stay in the summer. But I've said it many, many times. Today isn't a day to be negative, but I don't think he's going to be here after this summer. But for me, Son gets a 7. Moves me on to Harry Kane. Also getting a 10. It was so tough to choose between Kane, Bale and Mora, whoever gets man of the match. But for me, Kane gets a 10 and Bale gets a 10. Both of them get a 10. So 3 10s in this game for Mora, Bale and Kane. All of them absolutely phenomenal, as I say. Bale, crisp crosses. Kane, clinical, same as Bale. Mora, workhorse. What more could you ask for? Nevertheless, this has been the video, guys. Thank you for watching. And as always, come on, you Lily Whites.